Do you want to know more about breeding leopard geckos? Then come along in this video and I will take you through the ride. Okay, so what we have here is typical mating behavior. The male will vibrate his tail very quickly and you will hear it either hitting against the substrate that you have him on or the side of the walls. So as soon as he sees the female, his first sign is usually to vibrate his tail to let her know that he sees her. In this instance, I dropped this gecko in, he vibrated his tail, and then he made the next move, which is he starts making his way over to her. Sometimes she'll start making his way over to him, but in this case she was kind of in the corner of the tank and he started making his way over to her. As you can see, more vibrating of the tail, and she is appearing to be very receptive. I will show you a clip here in a little bit of a female that is not receptive, but a female that is ready to breed and is receptive to the male's desire to breed as well. She will allow him to do his dance for her, so to speak. She'll allow him to vibrate his tail. She'll allow him to get close to her. And then you'll even see she'll allow him to give her little love bites, which will also be a sign of breeding behavior as well. Sometimes he'll nick her on the back, like towards the tail, other times towards the middle of her body, other times, and usually the last nick or the last bite will be on her upper body, whether it be the neck, usually the face / head area, and I believe that that's to get a better grip and just to make sure that everything goes as smooth as possible. So you'll see sometimes it takes a minute or so. The full filming of this video was actually only like 5 minutes. So here you can see the male's first bite on her is on the back leg. And then as he works his way into breeding position, he starts working his way up her body. This is common. The tail, the leg, the body, all the way up to which will eventually be the neck, which will be the ending bite. So here they're just little love bites. It doesn't draw any blood or anything like that. And here he is almost in full position. He gets her on the cheek / the head area and starts moving his lower body half underneath her lower body half so that their private parts can conjoin and his DNA can be passed along to her. And as you can see, she's not fighting him here. She's very receptive to him. You will see in the later part of this video a gecko that is not receptive, and it's pretty clear that she does not want to breed. And thankfully, a lot of times the males will just back off and they get it. So here they are going about their business. It's fairly quick. So first couple minutes, he will court her, and then it really only takes like a few seconds to a minute after that to actually finish passing on, like the actual act of him passing on his DNA to her so that she will have his DNA to pass on to the eggs. And here you can see that they're done now. And this is common behavior when they are done. They will oftentimes just kind of sit there and gaze for a second. And this is why I like to separate the males and the females after they're done breeding, because in the wild, they would separate after this part. The male wouldn't stay with the female and the female wouldn't stay with the male. So I like to replicate that in captivity, and you'll see why, because as you can see, they're just gonna continue to cross paths with each other, and if they're not interested in breeding and they want to be alone, it can just be kind of stressful for them to always have to worry about another gecko in their personal space. And geckos, like many other animals, they're very scent-based creatures, so they will mark their territory with their scent. And if the female is constantly walking across the male's territory marked with his scent, it could just stress her out a little bit because she doesn't have her own personal space. So at the very end here, you can see that maybe Lucky is gearing up for round 2. The male here, Lucky, is gearing up for round 2. He might be testing the waters to see if there's something there, or he might just be trying to get away. Either way, you can see the female is giving him lots of signs that she's already fertilized and she doesn't want to breed again. By her kind of brushing him off, trying to get away, even biting back at him, those are all signs that she's not in, she does not want to breed. And as you can see, they pretty much go their separate ways. And this is where I removed Lucky and put him back into his own cage. This video, I will show you what it looks like when a female is not ready to breed. And again, it's a little early here at this time of the year for breeding. December is definitely very early, but 2 of my females, you know, they already started ovulating, and so I've already bred them to try to get the full season out of them. But here you will see this other pair, Buddy, who's the male, the big one here in the front, and Nadia, the smaller female in the back. You can see as soon as I put him in, she ran to the back, which is not the best sign. Again, like I said, sometimes they're just a little startled, but you'll definitely see there's a difference between this behavior in this video and what took place in the last video. So again, he will start to vibrate his tail. You'll see she's kind of like very standoffish, and you'll see she's kind of panicking a little bit. That's not normal breeding behavior. Normal breeding behavior, she'll kind of be more, she'll be a little bit calmer, and like her sensory organs will tell her, hey, there's a male in the area, I'm fertile, and let's see what he does. If he approaches me, then I'll breed. And then this behavior you'll see coming up right here, where the male and female are about to come face to face, is definitely a sign that she's not ready to breed. You'll see the male starts to approach her. He gives her a bite. Like there it is, there's the bite. And you can see her violently shoo him away. And thankfully, he's a nice boy. I've never had a male that has pursued the female after an aggressive action like that, but I guess it could happen, which is another reason why I don't keep them together. But the female goes into her hole here, her hide box, to signify that she's not ready to breed even that much more. But you could definitely see the male gave her a little bite on the front of her cheek, and then she attempted to pull away, and when he didn't let go right away, she snapped at him. She opened her mouth, which you can see here in the video, and gave him a definite sign that she is not ready to breed. Here's a video of another pair that I made that same night. I put the male with the female, and the female, a lot of times the first reaction of the female is going to be to get away. So don't be worried if that's the first reaction of hers. She's oftentimes going to walk to a different part of the tank than he is at, just because she doesn't know what's going on yet. You just dropped a foreign gecko into her tank, which is what I do, by the way. I drop the males in with the female. That way, if the female gets dropped into the male's tank and his tank is marked with his pheromones and it's a new environment to her, she could feel very stressed out. So I like dropping the male in with the female, put him into her territory, and it's, you know, it's way better for the female to be less stressed than the male, if that makes sense, because the female is the one that is on the receiving end of the breeding, and I think it's just a little bit more crucial that she's less stressed than him. And this is where, if the female was not ready to breed, this is where you would start to see some aggressive behavior, because you can see the male biting the female on the neck here, trying to get into breeding position. If the female was not ready to breed, she would definitely fight him away. As of right now, the breeding has been unsuccessful. He was trying to get in position, but backed in this corner was very difficult for him to get in the right position. So what I do here is I actually pull the hide box back to help them fall onto the ground into a position where they can actually more easily get into a breeding position, and you'll see it works. So now he begins to push his underside underneath her underside, which is what you're looking for in breeding. And you'll see she's flat on the ground now, and she's receptive. She's not fighting him. She's just ready, you know, for the mating action to take course. As you see, he kind of lost focus, which does happen. He lost focus and started biting her back end, which he's still sort of... The biting is a stimulation to breeding. She was already ready to breed. I don't know why he did that. Maybe it's just part of his rhythm of things, of the way he's going about this. But here you can see this is where they actually become successful. So he makes his way back over and chooses the other side now. And as you probably can't see, but he's biting her head in this image, and that just helps him hold himself in place so that their bottom ends can meet. His DNA can be passed along to her, and then she can receive that DNA and she'll hold on to it for the rest of the breeding season, so that for the next 6 months she'll have his DNA to pass along to her eggs. And as you can see, he actually... A lot of times I'll let the male just kind of finish cleaning himself up. This is good. Let the male clean himself up so that his private parts go back into his body correctly, you know, because this can be kind of stressful on the body, and some breeding accidents can happen where the male's private parts will not go back into his body, and that can become a dangerous and expensive scenario. So just let him do his thing. Let him clean up. He's gonna lick his bottom area a little bit to stimulate everything to go back into his body correctly, as well as just kind of clean up, because believe it or not, geckos are actually pretty hygienic creatures. They will, at least for leopard geckos, they'll always poop in like the corners of the tank. Generally, you'll oftentimes see them cleaning up their bottom end there. They're pretty clean creatures. So here you can see she's just like, she doesn't really know where to go, but in the wild she would just book it away from him. And so this is where you would, as soon as the male's done cleaning, you'll remove him. You can see she's trying to get away. He's kind of looking at her like, do you need fertilization some more? But he could tell that she's not in the mood. And that's it. From this point forward, I just wound up removing him from her tank, and now she will be fertilized. She'll hold on to his DNA, his sperm, for the whole breeding season. She will not need to breed with him again. So it's December now, and that sperm will last her for approximately the next 6 months. She will lay approximately I want to say approximately 2 eggs every 3 weeks about. So it tends to be anywhere between 2 to 4 eggs a month. And she could do that up to about 10 to 12 eggs is usually where they max out at. So it'll take her a few months, probably about 4 to 5 months of laying eggs, about 2 to 4 eggs a month, and every 2 to 3 weeks. And it just varies a little bit. So I would love to say, yeah, every 2 weeks she's going to lay 2 eggs, but it does vary. Sometimes it's 3 weeks or so. So you just want to be kind of aware of that. You'll know when the eggs are laid because she will dig in her humid hide, and one side of her substrate in her lay box will be higher than the other, and that's a sign that there's eggs in there. So whenever you see that happen, and whenever you know it's about time, like it's been 2 weeks since her last lay, and now here's a big mound in her lay box, check the lay box just so you can catch those eggs as early as possible to give them as much success rate as possible for hatching by putting them in the incubator and taking care of them in the proper way as quickly as possible.